So recently, Bronny James, which is LeBron James' 17-year-old son, he recently went to prom. And, a lot of kids, go to prom. Hell, I went to prom, at one point in time in my life. Well, what the controversy was about LeBron James' son is that he went to prom with a white girl. And of course, on the internet, it just went crazy that he went to prom, with a white girl. And I've been seeing a pattern here is that if a black dude goes, do anything with a white girl, it's, he's a sellout, he's a this, he's a that. But when there's a black girl doing something, hey, go girl, look, get you a zaddy, XYZ. And I'll be covering that in another, divestment tales with some receipts there. But we know that LeBron James and his wife, Savannah, has been, used as, people would say black love still exists, etc. Now, Savannah would have the greatest, advantage to speak to her son. And Savannah, let me put up what she posted here. As you can see, it says, it said, at Bronny went to prom this past weekend, said tons of emotions and realizations. Time really flies. I say, so proud of you, young man. And so I will always have your front and your back. Zuri is processing all of this too. Savannah, if anybody would have something to say about what he's doing, it would be his mother, his black mother. And she didn't say anything about it. What could I say? What could you say? What could anybody say about a 17-year-old that's going to a high school that's costing about $40,000 a year? We know that high school is predominantly white. That's all he's around. So if he's always around white people, white girls, what black girls really do we have a lot of access to? I mean, usually you fool with people within the proximity of your sphere. That's usually how that works. Now, Zuri here, a lot of people was saying, oh, Zuri, she ain't having that. Oh, look at Zuri. Zuri feels like the rest of us. She's a child. She wouldn't want no girl probably around her brother. But they was trying to make the precious little Zuri. They end up memeing the child. As we could see here, they end up putting a kufi on Zuri. But let's look at this next picture here I wanted to put up of actually LeBron James side by side with his son. Well, see, that's LeBron James. LeBron James had went to prom with a white girl too. So Bronny went to prom with a white girl as well. Now, did LeBron James marry the girl on this photo? We all know that did not happen. The little young man is just going to prom. That's who he wanted to go with. Now, I know Bronny, from what, people are saying, he's always, liking, a lot of pictures with white girls, etc. But this is the thing. He's a young kid. That's how I look at it. He's not getting married no time soon. I say calm down. But as a parent, I will tell you this. When you live in the West does not prioritize parents in the area of their children. Not like Asian countries, African countries, or Latin American countries. See, would the parents say, even when a child is an adult in, Latin America, Africa, and Asian countries, still matter, right? The parents have a lot of sway on their adult children. In the Western countries that we know of today, they don't have any kind of sway. And when you have a child like Bronny and his generation, he's Gen Z. His generation is the most integrated group that has ever lived. Okay. If you come to them, because some of y'all was attacking him and talking about, of course, it's always when a black guy do it, it's always sell out, this and that and the third. But when a black girl do it, is go girl. Oh, you got you a zaddy. Oh, it's not the same energy. Okay. These kids in Gen Z, they don't relate to all that race loyalty, Dr. Umar meme talk. They just don't relate to it. You could tell them about it. And if they come to that realization on their own, fine. But because they're so integrated, they would actually say you're weird. They would say that to you. Like, why are you being so weird? What's wrong with you? Like, it's just a girl I want to go with. What's a big issue? They would tell you that because Gen Zs are the most integrated. That's why I tell people, if you really want to be on that, what you're talking about, like, oh, I don't want my kids to do it. Well, then you got to get them out of the melting pot of America, get them out the melting pot and move to Africa, in a country where 95% of everybody is black. So only girl he can go to prom with or anything with is going to be black. That's the only way you could really enforce that, if that's what you want to be on. I'm just being with your kids. I'm telling you, as long as they live in America underneath the melting pot where you got little Hispanic girls and Asian girls and white girls and black and Indian and all these different other races here, they going to be exposed to it, because in America, everybody's integrated. It's more integrated now, in my opinion, than it was when I was a kid. You know, I'm Gen X. You know, my birthday is way toward the end of Gen X, of course. But I still fell in Gen X. But you look at your millennials and your Gen Zs, they not on that, bruh. They not. That's why, you know, when they drop all these Dr. Umar memes or these little gifs of Dr. Umar, you know, it's kind of funny. They did that with him. He's kind of like, I guess, the poster child of, I guess, that. But these younger people just not hearing that. And I talked to some young men one time about that, because I was just curious too. I'm like, you know, when I was growing up, you know, young black boys would date black girls, right? But in my proximity and where we grew up in a black neighborhood. We went to school with a lot of black people. We didn't go to school with a bunch of white people, right? And just kind of growing up where I grew up, you know, black folks stayed on their side, white folks stayed on their side. So, of course, if you go to school with a lot of black people, of course you're going to choose a black girl, and especially when white folks and black folks wasn't dealing with each other like that. But that has changed, completely changed. I remember when white folks wasn't listening to hip hop. I remember when white folks wasn't wearing Jordans, wasn't doing anything that black folks do. White folks today wear the same clothes, listen to the same music, go to the same clubs, go to do everything that we do today. You can go to any so-called black area and you go find white females in there, Hispanic females, Asian females, all these different ones in areas that back in the day when I was growing up, it'd be nothing but black folks, period. 80s, 90s, all black. Like I say, the game has changed, bruh. The game has completely changed. So when you telling these kids as in Gen Z, some of those things, they was going to, like I said, they was going to look at you like you're funny. But when I talk to these young brothers, I asked them, I say, well, why y'all, I noticed y'all date more white girls and girls of, you know, different communities. Like, what's up with the black girls? You know, I just wanted to know. And then what the little young brothers told me at the time, they say, look, man, it's a uncle. It's not, they're not pretty. It's not that. He said, they're very pretty. He said, a lot of them prettier than the white girls and things like that. But our issue with them is they too much like dudes. And they some of them just too loud and just ghetto. And we don't want to deal with that. And we don't have to deal with it. And I say, well, not all of them are that way. He said, no, I'm not. They was like, no, we're not saying all, but too many are. So when you got little young brothers in Gen Z at a young age saying this, you know, y'all want to say the manosphere. Those young boys don't know what a manosphere is. They don't even know that crap. This is what the little young boys are saying already. So what that says is that teaching within our community of this masculine behavior with the females and all of that needs to stop. But also, I have noticed that when you have a father in the household, especially with a girl, the father is going to, I noticed that the girls a lot of times are more feminine when they grow up in a household with a father. I noticed that. And a lot of the manliness, a lot of times come out of that single parent household where it's ran by the mother. Even if a single dad raised a girl, I've noticed she's still more feminine than if you was raised with a single mother. You understand? And what you're seeing is some of the upbringing of the I don't need a man independent mindset get kind of pushed to that next generation. But now it's been a rejection of, strong and independent deal. But the damage kind of have been done to a point, right? Now, this kid is a kid. He's 17. Okay, fine. We don't know who he gonna marry down the line. None of us know. I would want that. Just if he was my son, I would want him to get married to after he's 30. Period. I would want my son in his 20s to build his money up, get right in that area, get some maturity on his side, set up some investments, get him some properties, get him everything that he need before he get married. I mean, period. Right. But Bronny had a great example of, what y'all say is black love. He had a great example of that before him. And he still, but we don't know who he's going to marry. We don't know. And some people were saying, why LeBron let him go to prom with her? Why did Savannah okay. This is what y'all not understanding. If LeBron was to tell Bronny, you can't go to prom with that girl because she white. Well, first of all, why did he put him in an environment with a bunch of white folks? That's number one. Well, that's all he's surrounded by. That would be the question. But number two, if he was to say that and that girl go and say, yeah, I can't go to prom with LeBron James' son because LeBron said I'm white and I can't go. Do you know the firestorm that will start for LeBron and his wife? See, some of y'all like, yeah, he needs to do that. Look, LeBron is not about to mess off his whole career behind a prom date. He's just not about to do it, no matter what none of y'all say. None of y'all ran up and down that basketball court for years. None of y'all worked with what he worked up to get to where he at. None of y'all did. I didn't do it either. So I can't tell another man what he should and should not be doing. Some of y'all won't. That's like basically risking his job. Y'all wouldn't risk y'all job for a whole lot of things. Y'all let people tell y'all whatever they want to tell y'all sometime in these jobs, and you keep your mouth shut. You let your white supervisor get away with a whole lot. Because I can't really say much. I got to keep my job. Well, if you got to keep your job, well, I guess LeBron need to keep his too. So LeBron not gonna mess off his whole situation behind a son's prom date, whether you agree with it or not. Now, some of you that's out there say, well, I don't agree with that, this and that and the third. Well, you can only control your kid. I'm telling you, you will not control your kid in what they choose. You just won't. They gonna choose whoever they want to be with. Period. Now, if you want to get to the point that you want to disown them behind it, that's a choice you got to make. But they still going to do what they want to do. That, once again, parents have really no say so in America like that. Not like Africa, not like Asian countries, not like Latin America. So, if you're adult riding down on a 17-year-old kid, get you some business. Get you some business. Because let me tell you something. That boy, like I said, he probably going to date a lot of girls before he get married. And it's just that simple. But y'all let me know what y'all think about Bronny here. Like I say, he looked like, I guess he had a good time from the pictures that I saw or whatever. Like I said, I had a good time when I went to prom. It's just one point in time in your life you experience that and, you move on with your life.